I was wondering earlier today how many people actually realize where we are headed in this country. To be honest, I don't think many people at all realize where we are really headed. Not even many of the conservatives or right-wingers as they are also known these days. For a long time now, myself and a host of other people, as well as organizations, have been saying that we are going to see total chaos here at some point, and I am still of that opinion. I think that more and more people are realizing this. What I would like to talk about today is what we can expect to see in the time between now and the day that total chaos does break out here. Many of you who have been observant will have noticed that over the last 18 months or so, we have had many freedoms taken away from us under the guise of this so-called pandemic. In the beginning, we had a major crackdown backed by a massive public scare campaign. We were bombarded with images of people keeling over dead in the streets of China and statistics that were reminiscent of the results of a nuclear disaster. The results were that the public, that's you and I, us, accepted all of these draconian measures declared by Her Royal Highness Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. It was decreed that we, the mortals on the ground, were not permitted to buy anything that resembled a luxury. I can remember going into a shopping center where sections of the shelves were cordoned off with danger tape, indicating to us that those shelves were out of bounds to us. We were not allowed to buy such things as open-toe shoes and short-sleeve shirts. We were not allowed to buy any appliances or things of that nature. We were not allowed to buy a chocolate if we wanted to. The logic behind these decrees escapes me, but with us being mere mortals, we just accepted it pretty much. That was the start, and since then we have been bombarded with decree after decree imposed on us, things that increasingly and incrementally have reduced our freedoms. The process of forcing us to take 3 steps backwards and then allowing us to take 1 step forward, to make us believe that we were actually making progress. Right now we have been reduced to a bunch of either unemployed or work-from-home robots. In the state, we have been largely isolated from the world out there and from each other. One thing I have discovered since starting this channel is that the vast majority of our population are still way behind when it comes to being tech-savvy. It's hard to believe that we are still largely a population who relies on the news you see on the television, the newspapers you read, and the gossip magazines lying on the supermarket shelves to get their news, if you can call it that. Because of this terrible affliction of what can only be described as ignorance, has resulted in a huge percentage of us blindly believing and being obedient to these ridiculous rules and regulations imposed on us purely out of fear. What is happening in South Africa right now is not happening to just us. This is happening all over the world. If you thought that our problems were confined to the fact that South Africa is governed by a bunch of imbeciles, you would only be half right. There is a lot more to this than most of us could ever imagine, and the average man on the street has literally no idea how insanely deep this goes. I'm sure that by now most people have heard the terms the Great Reset or the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and I am sure that everyone has heard the words of Klaus Schwab, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." South Africa is included in this process, which is nothing other than an attempt by a few wealthy people to take control of the entire world by taking control of things like the food supply for a start, and at the end of the day making us people on the ground totally dependent on the powers that be. In other words, we will be slaves. If you think I am joking, take a look at what is happening right now with the attempt to make these vaccination passports mandatory. If they do this, anyone who is not vaccinated will be refused access to a supermarket, refused service at a petrol station, and refused access to all other basic services, even if you are willing to pay for them. This is slavery by blackmail. What we are experiencing right now is the effects of these people and their evil plans. What is even more disturbing is that our government is allowing this to happen. Cyril Ramaphosa has sold out to the New World Order, just as FW de Klerk did, and that is why these weird things are happening right now. So in a nutshell, we are faced with 2 separate problems that are working together and will end in this country collapsing into chaos. Added to that, we have a population that has no clue really. They just want. And up until now, the government has been able to satisfy that want, up to a point. Unfortunately, we have reached a point now where even the mighty thieving ANC has run out of money. They have run out of their own money, and they have essentially run out of sources of other people's money to steal, in the quantities needed to sustain the gravy train anyway. They are simply cutting the budget to just about everything they think isn't essential, but little do they know, and it will be proven pretty soon, that spending money on maintenance of things like sewage processing plants water purification plants, power generation stations, healthcare facilities, etc., should be the most essential things to spend money on before you even think of stealing money. But the temptation to rape the coffers, combined with a total inability to see the consequences, is just too great, and they will continue to steal everything that they can lay their hands on. There is no way to stop it now. This ship has already hit the iceberg. We are sinking, and the sooner we admit it, the better for all of us. As much as I know that the New World Order plan is our real enemy, we can't deny the real and immediate danger we are staring in the face right now, and that is the relentless onslaught of the ANC government on the minorities in this country. Every minority group is now a target in some way, and we are systematically being persecuted and victimized. This has made its way down to ground level, with the farm murders slowly increasing and the general crime rate increasing exponentially. How many of you know of a farm attack that took place on Wednesday where a farmer and his wife were brutally attacked in their home by 3 attackers? They were assaulted and tortured from 8 in the evening until midnight. They were repeatedly hit with a wheel spanner and a whip, and his wife was also burned with a clothes iron. Both are currently in hospital. I have no idea what their condition is as of today, unfortunately. This was not the only farm attack to take place this week. I learned of another one where the couple were both killed in the attack. How many of you heard about these attacks on the news on the radio? How many of you saw it on the news on TV? How many of you read about them in the newspapers? People, there is carnage and destruction taking place right under our noses every single day, and we know nothing about it because the mainstream media is keeping it from us. The government is keeping it from us. The point I'm trying to make is that these things are not even reported anymore in the newspapers or on television anymore. If it wasn't for the network of social media groups that I belong to, I would never know about these things either. So yes, I do rely on social media, YouTube and other mediums for the real news. Naturally, there is a lot of garbage out there too. But if you know where to look, you can get up-to-date, real news any time of the day and night. The secret being that you have to know where to look for it. Some of you might remember that a while ago I made a recording where I told you about the government's plans to force medical aids and pension funds to, and I quote, invest a certain percentage of their assets into so-called infrastructure development. If I'm not mistaken, I also said then that that would not be the end. They would keep looking and identifying new places where they can steal from you. Well, I'm sure most of you already know by now, we are looking at another 12% tax on your salary. Those of you that are still lucky enough to be earning a salary, that is. No matter what they say this tax is for, I am willing to bet that not even 5% of the funds will reach the intended destination. Some of you might know already, but for those of you that don't, there will now be a massive hike in vehicle licensing fees. All this while the country is dying under a massive blanket of unemployment and crime. I saw that the bill to change Section 25 of the Constitution is and will be accepted now, despite all of the so-called public participation where I am sure at least 90% would have been against it. Despite all the useless petitions we filled in, despite all the opposition in Parliament to it, it was always going to be pushed through. I have said all along that these petitions and so-called public participation farces were just instituted because the law or the Constitution says that those are the steps that need to be followed in order to change the Constitution. The law or the Constitution does not say that there needs to be any notice taken of these processes, as long as at the end of the day it can be said that they were had. I hope that those who up till now have not been affected by these extra taxes and levies are now starting to get the picture that it does not matter how insulated you might think you are against these processes. Your turn will come as sure as you are listening to my voice right now. I don't care how wealthy or comfortable you might think you are. Believe me, they are coming for your money and everything else you possess. It's only a matter of time. With all of this happening every single day, do you really think that the situation is sustainable in any way, shape or form without the country falling into total chaos at some point? And in my opinion, that point could literally be any day now. It could be today. It could be tomorrow, next week, next month or next year. We already have all the ingredients. All we need now is the right spark to start the final fire. Yes, nothing might have happened on the 23rd of August, but anyone who thinks that because of that, nothing will ever happen, you have a very rude awakening ahead of you sometime in the near future, my friend. To those that say I am just fear-mongering and or talking a load of rubbish, I have just one question for you. At the end of the day, who would you prefer to be wrong, me or you? Any person in their right mind would make sure that they were prepared for both scenarios. I have one quick announcement from Everfresh Foods. They have notified me that they have now cleared their backlog and are in the process of building up an inventory. So anyone wishing to make an order from them can use the link in the description to make an order, and they will be able to ship immediately. They are also going to be getting into the international market soon, so international buyers will also be able to take advantage of the exchange rate and get all of these excellent products at fantastic prices. As I said in a previous recording, their freeze-dried meals are really good. I've tried them myself. I doubt that anyone would be disappointed in the quality of their product. Please like and share this on as many social media platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. If you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I have to ask, why not? You have absolutely nothing to lose. If you would like to make a contribution to my channel, in the description field, I have made provision for local as well as international listeners to make a contribution. If you would like to make a crypto contribution, also in the description field, I have provided a Bitcoin as well as an Ethereum wallet address. If you would like to contribute any other cryptos, simply shoot me an email to the address also in the description field, and I will send you the relevant wallet address. I also have a Zapper account, so you can pause the video to scan the Zapper code. To all the amazing people out there that do make a contribution, I say a huge thank you. Your contributions, no matter how big or small, are greatly appreciated. Until next time, be safe out there.